There is no.
All right, stand by. We're going to start recording here shortly. Just wait for the thumbs up from staff. Looks like we're good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the open portion of the Fraser Valley Regional District Board of Directors meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. The first item, Ms. Kinnaman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm looking for approval of the agenda, addenda, and late items.
Director Pascu.
Second, Pranger.
Seconded by Director Pranger. And any discussion on the agenda, additions? Don't see any. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any, the motion carries. Next item.
Item 3.1, we have Destination BC's Fraser Valley Destination Development Strategy, Advancing Experience the Fraser, and we have a delegation with Ms. Allison Colthorpe.
Ms. Colthorpe.
Thank you, Chair Lum, and thank you to the Fraser Valley Regional District for this opportunity. I'm sorry for the long name, but there's a lot of us on the call, and we're all very passionate about tourism in the Fraser Valley. So again, thank you very much for this opportunity, and we'd like to talk to you in particular about advancing Experience the Fraser, that initiative. Before I begin, I'd like to recognize all of my colleagues on this call: Robert Rears, CEO, and Stephanie Gallimore, Marketing Manager of Tourism Harrison; Claire Seeley, Manager of Tourism for District of Mission; Catherine Bard, as well as Wendy Dupleix, Economic Development, City of Maple Ridge; Craig Nichols, CEO of Tourism Abbotsford; Aaron Credbutt, CEO of Tourism Langley; Christina Gervais, CEO of Discover Langley City; Katie Ferland, Economic Development for the City of Richmond; Francine Douglas, Indigenous Tourism BC; Shannon Jones, Economic Development for Hope; Wendy Coe, Economic Development, Ministry of Forest Lands and Natural Resource Operations; Laura Plant and Jonathan Hirama from Destination BC, and a big thanks to the FERD lead for the Destination Development Council, David Urban. We do appreciate all his support in ensuring tourism development is planned and done collaboratively with all the stakeholders. Before I just go into the presentation, Destination BC, who leads this, is not able to actively participate in today's presentation due to the election, but would like to for me to share that they are invested in supporting the development strategy and are on the call today if we have any questions or if you have any questions related to the corporation itself. So if you don't mind at this time, I'm going to share my screen. There we go. So the Fraser Valley Destination Development Strategy came to be about probably over the last 5 years. And what does it actually do for tourism in the Fraser Valley? Well, first off, before I even go into that, I should explain for those who are not on the know how Destination BC works, but they are provincially funded. They're industry-led crown corporation, and they support a strong and competitive future for BC's tourism industry. And they provide our province with global marketing, destination development, industry learning, cooperative community-based programs, and visitor servicing. They really are mandated to support and promote the businesses of tourism through our province. And as our destination marketing organization for the province, it's structured to develop and deliver programs and services that attract visitors to BC and help ensure that the quality of their vacation experience keeps them coming back for more. They also help out all of us as individual destination marketing organizations succeed and work together collaboratively as we do on this. There's over 20, or actually there are 20 different planning areas throughout BC, and we are one of those designated planning areas. These strategies actually address the supply and side of tourism, meaning they provide guidance on how to provide quality infrastructure and remarkable experiences for visitors. The Fraser Valley strategy, which was developed with the guidance and input from over 100 tourism representatives recognizes the very strong recreation opportunities in our region, such as the river-based experiences and the trails network. The strategy outlines the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead through all of our action items. And this doesn't just sit there as something that we look at every year or 2 years. We actually are part of a big provincial strategy, which is a 10-year plan for our province. Hence why we're here today, because this has just been announced over the last few months. This is a long sentence, but more or less, at the end of the day, this is our vision statement for the strategy. And it's about being vibrant, accessible, creating a world-class destination that is well managed and enhances the visitor economy and destination appeal. And it's against the backdrop of a rich culture and history, the mighty Fraser River and wild mountain vistas. We offer world-class outdoor adventures, farm-fresh experiences, and opportunities to flourish and experience our way of life around each corner. So when I'm talking about the Destination Development Council, it actually involves a lot of communities, a lot of different groups at the table. But each of these groups around, or you see on the screen right now, also work with the stakeholders within their community, because this is a development council, this is a working committee. So we are obligated and know it's very important to make sure and ensure our partners within our communities, all the stakeholders and municipalities, all have an understanding of what the value of this destination development strategy is. When I'm talking, and I will be going into Experience of Fraser in a second, I just want to make sure and ensure you know this Experience of Fraser initiative, which really was strengthened by their FBRD as well as the Metro Vancouver a long time ago. It actually is a strategy that you can find inside the Gold Rush Trail development strategy as well as the Metro Vancouver development strategy. This gives it even more strength and power and shows the collaboration that can happen. I know you are in the midst of updating the Fraser Valley Regional District Strategic Plan right now. So we're basing our presentation on the plan from 2014 and 2018, which 2 of the 5 strategic priorities outline outdoor recreation and tourism. And as well, the strategy has 4 areas. And as you know, fostering a strong and diverse economy was one of them, with an item saying continued support of the Experience of Fraser initiative. Now, we are fully aware, because we receive a lot of the calls ourselves, that our municipalities are trying to improve active transportation corridors while addressing resident concerns about quality of life and wanting to provide a great experience for our visitors. So first off, we want to say a big thank you for the Fraser Valley Regional District for your investment into the 2019 economic impact analysis of our outdoor recreation in the entire region. It was a massive undertaking, but we are seeing and will be seeing the value soon. We know it's a resource that it will guide us as we implement this strategy. And I see it's on the agenda today, so I really hope it all goes well and that we can start utilizing it immediately. In the strategy that David Irvin has shared with us in the draft stage, shows that hiking and trail running was a top activity in recreation days. Not surprising, really, and generated nearly 15% of all outdoor recreation spending in the region. Nearly 40% of the recreation days in the FERD were from visitors to our region, and almost 70% of these visitors were from Metro Vancouver. And now with the pandemic, it's only exacerbated an already growing problem being not enough trail and experiences for those who wish to recreate. We're hearing stories of overcrowded trails, and we saw BC Parks institute a day pass program in summer of 2020 to manage visitor use in certain parks. We also saw bike sales skyrocket and record-breaking visits to FERD and MVRG trails, parks, and recreation areas. So this leads me to why I'm here, about advancing the Experience of Fraser initiative. Back in 2012, the province of BC invested heavily, providing $2.5 million in funding to work jointly with the Fraser Valley Regional District and Metro Vancouver to develop a concept plan and implementation plan for the project that identifies trails, blueway routes, implementation strategies, and actions to achieve the ultimate goal of creating a world-class destination. Experience the Fraser was designated as a catalyst to encourage and strengthen tourism and economic development initiatives. It is a recreational, cultural, and heritage project that extends along the Lower Fraser corridor, connecting Hope to the Salish Sea. The vision is a trail with over 550 kilometers of trails and blueways that connect communities along the Fraser. And it's so important to note, over 40% is already done. With the framework in place and the additional $1 million from the province was provided in 2012, we can see that this is a way to move forward and to do something positive in tourism product development. Since 2015, the FERD has been successful in securing 4 job creation partnership programs, totaling over $1.1 million to build out Fraser Regional District amenities and experience the Fraser projects, like the 18-kilometer section of Canyon to Coast Trail from Island 22 to the Agassiz-Rosedale Bridge. So that's already $4.6 million already invested by the province into this initiative. As mentioned before, Destination BC led the drafting of the Fraser Valley Destination Development Strategy and created this Destination Development Council that's on the call today to begin implementing it. They provide the staff resources to assist the Development Council. They also recognize that the work that has gone into the Experience the Fraser in the past, and they see the strong potential of tourism infrastructure. This is a tourism infrastructure project for the future. And they want to see it move forward. So what's next? But what we want is, and what we need is the support of the Fraser Valley Regional District and all of our municipalities. This year and next, our Development Council wants to focus on 2 specific themes from this strategy: Experience the Fraser initiative and river and mountain-based product development. With the Destination Development Council, including our Destination BC representatives, we want to work collaboratively with the Fraser Valley Regional District and member municipality staff to update the existing Experience of Fraser implementation program and plan. This will outline the next phase of trail development along the Coast to Canyon Trail and allow for all government to be ready to apply for funding for future trail build out. The real goal is to have shovel-ready projects to take advantage of grants and funding opportunities as they arise, like SURUP. Next steps will be to make presentations to municipal councils and to create awareness over the next several months to other stakeholders. I want to thank the Fraser Valley Regional District Chair and the board for your time, and myself and my colleagues from the council are here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Colthorpe. Any questions through to Allison or anyone else on the call?
Dixon.
Go ahead, Director Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks so much for the information and the presentation, and it does sound like there's lots of exciting things going on. So I would be in the Cultus Lake area, just so you know, and so there's challenges and definitely opportunities to understand that. How does it work with addressing the challenges? So the challenges, just right off the bat, are places for people to park, depending where they want to go. So right now we have Teapot Hill, which is very, very popular. And so do those go hand in hand? Like when you're considering, wow, this is a great area, we want people to come, but if people come and there's nowhere for them to park their cars safely, then it's another a bit of an issue, and we run into that. So
absolutely. So Chair Lum to Director Dixon, one of the key things is that we're trying to give other people opportunities to spread the amount of people visiting certain areas of our trails. So we're trying to dilute it a bit by offering them another experience to lessen the amount of impact on some of those other trails. And then also when we talk about Experience of Fraser, we also added in that product development side. So identifying other areas within the regional district that we can help support with washrooms, etc. This one was a very strong tourism initiative that would be helping more than just one community. So we felt like this was a really good moving forward component, but it helps take away some of the pressures on the other trails.
fair enough. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? don't see any. So I have a question for you, Allison. So I am unaware of the provincial government putting a line item in the budget for ETF, and I'm wondering if you were going to move ahead with this program and updating the implementation plan, if you'll also include an updated kind of implementation budget that we can start to approach our new provincial government with. They had an awful lot of excellent promises over the past few weeks, and I think getting something over to them post haste would be great as they move into the budgeting process. It'd be nice to get an idea of what implementation looks like, the costs.
Absolutely. So that's one of the biggest steps we're looking for support from the Fraser Valley Regional District for, is some staff time to identify, since it's not just one community, there's a variety of communities involved, is that if we can go back and look at the plan and see what has actually been fully accomplished and where those gaps are, and that's so that we can build out costs on each of those areas. Then as a group, as a Destination Development Council, then we can target certain ones and then provide it and say, this is the areas we feel are necessary, the cost. So what we're looking for is we could have time, regional district time, to help us with this big project, because it was first led by the Fraser Valley Regional District, to take it to the next level, to really dig deep and be able to respond to those opportunities out there for funding.
And I think if Mr. Urban is on the call, he would have a better idea. I recall going to Victoria with Mr. Urban a number of years ago, and I think the seed funding that the provincial government had provided early on has long run out. But the concern, of course, here is that with a project of this size and scope, it exceeds what one regional district could put resources towards. So I think we'd also need a commitment out of our colleagues in Metro Vancouver as well, because it was a joint project. Both our colleagues in Metro and I went to Victoria last time to try and ask the provincial government to re-up on their commitment. And I think it's, I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 million something. So I don't 100% know that figure off the top of my head, but I think $1 million would probably be a good start. Director Bales, you have a question?
Yeah, I have an electoral area by the Harrison River. We could definitely use some funding for a washroom. We get so many tourists, they overwhelm the businesses. And I guess there's been issues with, well, who will take care of those washrooms, and just the vandalism sometimes as well that goes with them. But we have some possible trails that we'd like to fund as well to expand on the network. So are you saying that you don't have funding right now, or you do for that kind of thing?
Through Chair Lum, the question was, we don't have any funding in place directed specifically to Experience of Fraser. So the first step would be to identify those spots that we need funding for, and to work with each of our municipalities. And to Chair Lum's question about Metro Vancouver, absolutely they need to be involved and engaged. And I believe somebody from Metro Vancouver may be on the line or part of Zoom right now. The next step will be to also present to Metro Vancouver and to encourage them to support this initiative and to work collaboratively as a team to identify all spots along the whole Experience of Fraser, where there's gaps, where there's washrooms, where there's camping needed, etc. So this is really the starting stage, and we're just excited to start with the Fraser Valley Regional District, just because there's a lot of initiatives that have taken place in our own communities here. So to address, yes, we absolutely will be identifying those spots, including washrooms and all that, but we do need to work with a lot more people around the table.
Great, thank you.
Chair Lum, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Director Engar.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Colthorpe, for the presentation. Appreciate it. Could you expand a little bit on the mechanism you're using to redirect users of overused trails to less impacted trails? I think being the Chilliwack River Valley and the huge influx that you're probably aware of this year, I'd be eager to hear of that mechanism and how we can participate in that.
Absolutely. So through Chair Lum to Director Engar, I can only speak on behalf of Chilliwack for this initiative, but as a colleague of all my colleagues on the call today, it's very important to all of us that we have encouraged pack in, pack out and work with Adventure Smart BC. So a few things we've done over the last year and a half are really important to note. We've done specific advertising that just encourages people to, be responsible out there, take whatever you pack in to bring back with you, but also with use of it. We've set up for 3 or 6 days this year along Lindeman Lake, which is a particular problem for our area, especially in the River Valley. And we set up a trailer and encourage people to use other trails. And we also had Adventure Smart, which is the provincial program that was with us, alongside us. And they encourage people who were wearing heels and dresses that are coming from Metro Vancouver, encouraging them that is not appropriate gear, giving them all the tools and necessities to say, here's how to be responsible and deterring them. Our job was to encourage them to try other trails, and that parking on the roadway where you're not allowed to park is, is illegal, and we encourage them to do it. There's many other trails in the area that are safe and they can use, and to explore the rest of BC and Fraser Valley. So that's and then through our social posts, right? So through our social posts, we have lots of sayings about encouraging people to try new trails out, not just use the ones. But as you know, we have one problem is that there's lots of other social feeds out there about trail usage, and here's the greatest trail to use, and lots of people follow them. So we're trying to work with those groups as well. And you've directed something that's important to the Fraser Valley group that we will be hoping to deal with, and that is overusage of the trails. And that's why, hence, we're hoping this could be something as well, the experience of Fraser.
Great. Okay, thank you. Don't see any other questions, but I do want to just check in here. I think a motion's probably in order, directing staff to work with the Fraser Valley Destination Group here to look at some of the ETF request that's being made tonight. And I think if somebody would like to make that motion, we can.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Raymond will second.
Moved and seconded. Director Facio, seconded by Director Ross. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed if any item carries. Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you, Ms. Colthorpe, and all of your colleagues for your presentation tonight. Looking forward to working with you further on this item.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you.
All right. Next item.
Next, we have 4.1. We have the draft Fraser Valley Regional District Board meeting minutes of September 17th, 2020.
Raymond, move.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Raymond, seconded by Director Clute. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed if any, the item carries. Next item.
Next is item 5. We have the committee and commission minutes for information and matters arising. These are just information items, and if anyone had any questions or wanted anything separated.
Thank you. Any questions on any of those items?
Clute.
Go ahead, Director Clute.
Thanks, Chair Lum. Just a comment I read in the minutes there from the Regional and Corporate Services meeting. Some of the concern regarding some of the agricultural waste, plastic waste, certainly a very valid point. It's something that does keep coming up, and I believe Alberta has a pilot project in place right now where they're collecting plastics, and there's, I believe, a company in Southern Alberta that's now recycling it for decking material. So if there's any opportunities out there, certainly I could put the I could get that information, and maybe it's something we could pursue, because anything to make farmers more environmentally friendly and sustainable is a win-win for everybody. So yeah, just want to acknowledge that committee for bringing that up, and certainly something that maybe with the new government we can work towards.
Thank you, Director Clute. I know Director Pranger is probably on the call, but I thought the District of Kent had an agricultural plastics recycling project at one point.
Chair
Yep.
Lum, we did have a project going, and the last load that was collected was redirected to the dump, which is not what we want at all. We're looking forward to finding ways to reinstitute that, to divert a lot of plastic out of the waste stream.
Yeah, I think that's excellent. I think maybe Director Clute, with you and Director Pranger, could have a discussion and maybe look at further opportunities. Maybe our staff could have a chat with you as well, because I mean, certainly I think that would lend itself to achieving some of the diversion targets that we have in our solid waste management plan here as well. And certainly we don't want to see that stuff going to the landfill or going out of region. So yeah.
Yeah, certainly.
Thank you. And if I may, we have our Ag Advisory Committee has been the active push behind this, and I'm sure they would love to get that information from Director Clute.
Wonderful.
We will.
You know where to find them. At least I know where to find them.
If my microphone would allow me, I finally get on, stupid thing. Yeah, certainly, Sylvia, we should have a conversation.
Great. Any other comments? Director Hamilton.
Jason, I neglected to do this at the beginning of the meeting, but I just wanted to let you know that Councillor Cal Crawford is viewing in tonight as an alternate from the District of Mission.
I see him, and staff have provided that info to me. So, but thank you, Director Hamilton, and welcome alternate Director Crawford. Any other questions on the draft minutes? Don't see any. Let's move to the next item.
Next item is 6.1. We have the Canadian Health and Fitness Institute Green Municipal Fund Grant. There is a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. Gonna move her in a seconder. Get it on the table.
Davidson, move.
Moved by Director Davidson, second by Director Clute. Discussion. Director Davidson, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. So as I sent out in an email, I'm just going to go through it very quickly. I've discussed this matter with Ms. Kinnaman and with Ms. Riley beforehand. If this motion carries, my intention would be to then raise a motion referring this motion, the CHFI motion, back to staff, and that staff report back to an estimate, report back with an estimate as to the approximate value of staff time from the outdoor recreation management plan that could be attributed as an FVRD in-kind contribution. The goal is that it may be that some or all of the staff effort that's going to be happening anyway in support of the outdoor recreation management plan could be attributed as a FVRD in-kind. And it may well be that no GIA is necessary to get to that 50K amount that CHFI is looking for in their previous motion, and that the only thing we're looking for from staff is that effort to do an estimate and an estimate only. But we really don't know until staff does that. That's the goal here. It would probably be best to turn it back to Ms. Kinnaman for any sort of comments that staff might have on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Kinnaman, did you have any comments or follow-up to Director Davidson?
Just in terms of follow-up, I have had some follow-up conversations with Mr. Weston and the Canadian Health and Fitness Institute. Certainly it is plausible that the entirety of that outdoor recreation management plan would constitute the entirety of what is being requested of us. Whether that equates to the amount that is requested, I can't speak to that specifically, but I think it is plausible for sure. Certainly willing to do that work, and as you've heard today as well, we've got further requests from that same staff to do some additional work with another organization. So this would have to be a situation where It is not additional work by any stretch. It would have to absolutely be work that's already underway.
Okay, very good. Any other comments? So maybe I'll just ask a clarification here of our corporate officer. So in terms of process, we would, the reconsideration motion is being moved and seconded. I call the question on the reconsideration motion and then look to have a further motion brought forward from Director Davidson, which he indicated he was going to introduce. That's in order then?
So in order for us to reconsider a motion, the motion to reconsider a motion must first be
done.
Determined, right?
Okay.
So the motion on the table currently, that the motion be brought back to the table, has to be considered first,
okay,
before we go back into any reconsideration.
Perfect. Okay, is there comments on reconsideration itself? And look, Director Facio, did you have your hand?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My comments regarding reconsideration, as we all know, that we had quite a lengthy closed meeting conversation regarding this project, and that after this evening's presentation as well from Alison, this is asking a lot of staff time moving forward into the near future for our staff to take care of. So my understanding is that it wasn't a quick decision by the directors at the previous meeting regarding this great idea from these people. But I think that it's asking more from our staff, and I think that we'll be able to accomplish. So I'm ready. I will be voting against the reconsideration.
Director Facio, Director Blue.
Thank you. Along similar lines, I think that, I think that the proposal has lots of really good elements to it, and we all understand how important the region is and how important tourism is. The way that I'm thinking about this is just given all of the pressures that staff are currently under, particularly dealing with all the issues around COVID and just trying to keep very basic things happening. I just am very concerned that this would in fact take extra staff time that could be prioritized elsewhere, that we absolutely need it on priority projects that were already on the plate long before this came to us. And so that's where my real dilemma is understanding how we can add something that appears to have this magnitude onto the workload when there are so many other things that are really challenging for staff to complete right now.
Thank you, Mercer. Thank you, Director Blue. And just before I go to Director Mercer, I know we're talking about the merits of reconsideration right now. And I think I've already muddied the water by allowing some leniency around discussing the merits of the project. And
yeah, if I might, that was my point. I didn't make that very clearly, but that was my point, is about having reconsideration of something for that reason.
Right. And I just want to clarify, because we talked a little bit about the effect that it may or may not have on staff. And what I thought I heard Ms. Kinnaman say was, if we were going to talk about any in-kind or staff contribution, it would only be work that was already underway. But I know we kind of we're kind of talking about reconsideration and the in-kind work at the same time. But we'll try and talk first about merits of reconsideration. Director Mercer, go ahead.
Well, that was my point exactly, Mr. Chair. I'd assumed we would get the opportunity to talk about it if the first motion went through.
Thank you, Director Mercer. Yeah. And Director Dickey? Okay, Director Dickey's withdrawn his comment. Any other directors? And then I will, if I don't see any comments on reconsideration, I will call the question, and I'll just ask that you indicate hands up so we can see. And before we do that, is this a simple majority vote or are we a weighted vote here?
That's correct. It's a majority vote.
Simple majority.
Yes.
Okay. So on the merits, on reconsideration, all in favor? Yeah.
Still Pranger, yes.
Director Pranger?
I think we need to do a roll call,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, because we're on two screens here, we'll just do roll quickly. So I counted at least 9 in favor at some
Mr.
point, but
Chair?
we'll just do a roll.
Would it be helpful if I read out each director's name and then they
Perfect.
respond either yes or no, please?
Very
So
good.
I'll start with Director Blue.
Sorry.
No,
That's a no.
Yeah.
no, thank you.
Director Falk.
No.
No. Director Lowen.
Yes.
Director Ross. Director Siemens.
No.
And Director Shahal.
No.
Director Popov.
No.
Chair Lum.
I'll reconsider. I'll vote in favor.
Director Clute.
Yes.
Director Mercer.
Yes.
Director Crawford.
Abstain. Yeah.
That'll be a vote in the affirmative then.
Okay.
Director Hamilton.
Yes.
Director Robb.
No.
Director Pranger.
Yes.
Director Facio.
No.
Director Raymond.
No.
Director Adamson. Is that a yes? I see a head nod from Director. Could you give me a thumbs up, Director Adamson, or a thumbs down? Thank you. I had that in the affirmative. Director Bales.
No.
Director Dickey. Director Angar.
No.
Director Davidson.
Yes.
Director Stobart.
Yes.
And Director Dixon.
No.
Almost as exciting as the provincial election.
Salon.
We'll have to wait a couple weeks for the mail-ins to come in.
And I have 11 in favor, in which case the vote fails.
The reconsideration motion fails. So thank you. And we'll move to the next item.
The next item is 7.1. We have the third quarter report. This is an information item, but always happy to answer any questions. And we have staff on the line as well.
Thank you. Questions on third quarter report? Just my thanks to staff. I know this is a new kind of initiative initiated by yourself, Ms. Kinnaman, and it's very helpful to get this kind of quick summary on these items. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Pranger. Thank you as well. I appreciate the updates.
Next item.
7.2, we have the Community Economic Recovery Infrastructure Program. There is a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. And mover and a seconder on this item, please.
Moved
Moved by Director Facio, seconded by Director Popov. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
8.1, we have the 2020 Financial Plan Amendments. Again, there's a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. Mover and a seconder on this item.
Mercer.
Moved by Director Mercer, seconded by Director Clute. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
8.2, we have a funding commitment for the Sunshine Valley Community Recreation Society in Electoral Area B.
Thank you. That's moved by Director
Adamson.
and seconded by
Raymond.
Director Raymond. Discussion?
Sure, Adamson.
Go
Can you hear
ahead.
me? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about this proposal. We've been trying to get a rink in Sunshine Valley for a long time, and very fortunate to have someone who moved in that is really good at writing grants. So this is hopefully will get us
100,000 will get us 500, 400 more. So 20% on dollars. I'm really excited about it. It's good. Good. Thanks.
Thank you, Director Adamson. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Director Fascio.
Go ahead, Director Fazio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Director Adamson. What type of rink would this be?
Go ahead, Director
This would
Adamson.
be through the chair to Mr. Mayor Fascio. This is an outside rink. Every winter in Sunshine Valley, they make an outside rink just by the lake. This would actually give them a concrete base where they could make the ice last longer, and they want to get a roof on it so they don't have to shovel it as much. And then in the summer, it could be used for roller skating, roller skateboarding. Yeah, so it's a good project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Were you going to sell Director Adamson your skating rink, Director Fazio?
Not at the moment, Mr. Chairman. We've just expanded it and it's nearly ready to go.
Fantastic.
Mercer?
Go ahead, Director Mercer.
Just a quick question about maintenance and life cycling. It looked to me like this was a one-time investment, and I'm just wondering about the maintenance, things like splash parks and whatnot on an ongoing basis, and how that's contemplated in the budget.
Thank you, Director Mercer. Director Adamson.
Yeah, this is just a one-time funding for the regional district. The nonprofit that is applying for it, they would have to do the maintenance on it. They have a membership that contributes money, so yeah, they would have to do the maintenance.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? The item carries. Next item.
Item 9.1, we have the Fraser Valley Regional District Hatzic Prairie Water System Service Area Amendment Bylaw number 1561.
Move
Thank
Davidson.
You. Seconder, please. Moved by Director Stobart, seconded by Director Ross. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
Item 9.2, we have the Search and Rescue Grant and Aid Extended Service Repeal Bylaw number 1584.
Thank you. This is for EAs, is that correct? Oh no, this is for all. Sorry, it's moved by Director Dickey and seconded by Director Clute. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
9.3, we have the Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1599 to implement the findings of two recent reports regarding the Chilliwack River erosion setback line.
Thank you. Mover and a seconder on this. Moved by Director Engar.
Mercer.
And seconded by Director Mercer. Discussion.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. This.
Sorry. This is
EAs.
EAs. Sorry.
Yes.
So sorry. It's moved by Director Engar, and then I'll seconded by Director Dickey. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, item carries. Next item.
Moving down to item 10, Mr. Chair, you have a script in front of you for permits.
I sure do. And this is for the development variance permits that are on the agenda for this evening. So pursuant to Part 14, Division 9 of the Local Government Act, this is the opportunity for the FBRD board to hear from the public regarding the development variance permits listed on the agenda. Anyone who believes that their interests are affected by the proposed application will be given an opportunity to speak. If there are any verbal comments or written submissions to be made on these development variance permits, please come to the podium and address the board. Those of you wishing to speak are asked to come forward and begin your presentation by providing your name and address, which will be recorded and form part of the official record. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes and confine your remarks to the application at hand. Ms. Kinnaman.
Item 10.1, we have development variance permit 2020-10 to reduce required setbacks for the existing patio and proposed addition to the Sasquatch Inn at 46001 Lougheed Highway in Area C. I will just draw the board's attention to the additional letter of support that was circulated by email. We do not have anybody on the line wishing to speak, Mr. Chair, but you can call for the those members of the public present.
Sure. And for those members of the board who are joining us virtually, we do have members of the public here, a member of the public here. And I'll just ask if you wishes to speak on this item, please make your way to the podium. Looks like he's okay. And there's nobody online and nobody calling in. What's the board's wishes on this item?
Move support.
Moved by Director Pranger, seconded by Director.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, this is again an EA's.
EA's,
Yes.
okay. Our
Sorry.
members are just jumping the gun. They're so excited about this. I thought I saw it moved by Director Stobart. Was that correct, Director Stobart? And seconded by
Adamson.
Director
Adamson.
Dixon.
Director everybody. Okay, and any discussion? Seeing none. All in, oh, sorry, Director Bales.
Just a reminder, if staff could talk to Fraser House. As I was driving by, there was still a stream of runoff water coming across the parking lot, and it's been an issue for a long time. So I'm in favor of the build out. It just really needs to be dealt with. It's been brought up several times. So.
Thank you, Director Bales. And any other further comments on the item? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
Next is 10.2. We have development variance permit 2020-18 to vary the maximum height for an accessory building at 45713 Elizabeth Drive in electoral area H. Again, this is EA's unweighted. We did receive 2 letters of concern. Those were also circulated via email, and there's no one on the line.
Okay, thank you. I'll just check with the gentleman from the public here if you'd like to speak to this item.
It's my property, so I just comments here.
Okay, so any no comments? Okay, perfect. Just for the board, as you're aware that the applicant is in the room, so if there are any questions or comments from the board, what's the board's wishes, please?
So Dixon, do I have to make a motion before?
Yes, you do. Yep.
Then I'm moving to refuse this one.
Okay. Is there a seconder?
Raymond.
Okay, it's seconded by Director Raymond. And discussion?
Dixon.
Go ahead.
So for whatever reason, this variant seems to have struck a chord in the neighborhood. It is a height variance, and I'm well aware that there are other ones have been approved. However, there have been 3 letters that I've received in the package. 1 came initially and then 2 again today, just with concerns around the additional height. They recognize the applicant is certainly able to put a building on there. The concerns had to do with people down below, some shades, shadowing, in already shadowy yards. There was questions about runoff. There was questions about privacy, and just some general concerns that way. There was also, I know somebody has spoken to me on the phone. He was not in the, that person was an official, I guess, but also went into the office, and it feels a little bit like this one is just too much for the neighborhood at this time, and it is about the height. And so that was my reasoning behind moving to refuse it.
Okay, thank you, Director Dixon. Comments from the board? Any other comments? I don't see any, so I'll call the question on the motion to deny. And all in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Next item.
Next is 10.3. We have development permit 2020-19 for the form and character of Phase 3 subdivision of Aquadel Crossing at 1885 Columbia Valley Road in electoral area H. There's a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. And just check in. We have no speakers on this item.
This is a development permit.
Don't see any. Okay, what's the board's wishes?
Dixon, is the I'm sorry, I'm looking.
So this is for EAs. This is item 10.3, right? Yeah.
Yes, this is item 10.3.
Yeah, and this is
development permit
so
2020.
the staff recommendation or the motion before you is referral
Yes.
back to staff.
Move the staff recommendation then for referral.
Perfect. And the seconder? Second by
Davidson.
discussion of referral. Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed if any, item carries. Next item.
Next is 11.1. We have the commercial gravel operation permit 2020-01 for Statlu Resources, 12 kilometers Chehalis Forest Service Road in Electoral Area C.
Thank you. This is for all members of the board, and there's a motion for your consideration. I need a mover and a seconder, please.
Director Lowen.
Moved by Director Lowen and seconded by
Raymond.
Director Raymond. Discussion. Director Ross.
Just a quick minor thing, just perhaps maybe I'm reading it wrong, but it looks like a grammatical reworking of that first sentence in the second part. It says that a mail out be sent to the Morris Valley community to provide information to about the application. So if you could just fix that. Thanks.
Thank you. And any further discussion, questions on the item? Don't see any, so I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
11.2, we have the 2019 FDRD Outdoor Recreation Economic Impact Analysis.
Thank you. And we have a motion for consideration and mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Director Ross, seconded
Second, Engar.
any discussion on the item?
Davidson.
Go ahead, Director Davidson.
I was wondering if staff could perhaps speak to some of the differences that happened between versions of this report. A few things went on, and I think it would be worthwhile if staff could basically summarize some of the changes they're seeing in the report. Thank you.
Sure. Ms. Kinnaman?
I do believe that Mr. Urban's on the line. Yes, there he is. He's turned his camera on. He could probably speak to that better than I.
Mr. Urban?
Good evening, everyone, through the chair to the board. Thank you, Director Davidson, for the question, and yes, glad to speak to it a little bit for you. So what had happened was last board meeting there, you'd asked in regards to the data in the appendix, in particular to a few sectors. The dog walking was one that came to light. And what we did was went back to the consultant, and he went through the exercise of reanalyzing the data. And through that process, he did find some anomalies, and those anomalies were stripped out. And as a result, they were around the economics numbers. All the recreation numbers of recreation days were solid and confirmed. An adjustment was made to the dollar figures. And that resulted in some of the activities, primarily hiking and dog walking and mountain biking, to be reevaluated. And now the consultant is 100% confident in the figures that he's put forth in the report now.
Chair, can I follow up?
Go ahead.
So I just want to thank staff for giving me the opportunity to sort of get a preview on this version because of the concerns I raised in July. I just want to do a quick walkthrough of how I got here. When the July version came out, somebody in the community had real concerns about the plausibility of the horse riding numbers, which are around 160K. And that led me to have a closer look. And then I took a deeper dive into the appendix, and that's where there were some weird things going on and some obvious issues there. And I'd hoped that rechecking the math would show something more reasonable for horse riding. But between the versions, there was really no effective change, and it still leaves the number around 150, 160K. Following up with staff after the fact, it showed that no horse riding organization had been contacted in preparation of the report.
So, I don't correct, Director Davidson. I talked to staff on this. I understand that we may have reached out to them. Maybe I'll look.
That's just very recently. all I really wanted to get to, Chair, was that the numbers in the report as it pertains to horse riding really can't be taken seriously. Following up directly with Horse Council BC, they put the equestrian economic activity at about 260 million for the Vancouver South Coast region as a whole. Of course, that would include Metro Vancouver, but to leave it at our report as having it at 160K just kind of begs questions as to how much we can rely on the horse riding numbers. At the end of the day, this report is, I think, constrained by where they chose to do the surveys. And I think as it relates to horse riding, I really don't think they caught the activity where it was happening. And I think that's why the report between the July version and the version before the board now actually makes reference back to the Horse Council of BC equestrian economic impact report. I think it puts it about 700 million for the province, and again 260 million of that's in Vancouver South Coast. So I guess all I'm saying is going forward with this report, if it's to inform future planning and policy decisions, I really have to think of it with an asterisk next to the horse riding numbers, because I think it essentially we're missed by the whatever methodology that the consultant followed in driving them.
Thank you, Director Davidson. I'm just going to go to Ms. Kinnaman. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to clarify. I know that this was a rather large endeavor by staff, and that when you're consulting with so many different stakeholder groups and so many different organizations, it can be challenging when you're trying to solicit participation. And I do know that staff reached out to the Horseback Riding Association on at least 3 separate occasions. And that wasn't just recently, that was throughout the course of the study. And when those organizations don't come forward and agree to participate, we had to rely on other methodologies. And so I believe that now a new connection through that organization, I think perhaps maybe there was a staff departure from that organization or something of that nature. However, I understand that Mr. Urban has a new contact with that organization. They have done some of their own research. And of course, at some point in time, this study has to be put to bed. But it doesn't mean that we can't continue to inform the study through new data, new information, and new sources and new organizations that want to participate. But to try to contemplate a complete and exhaustive study of every single stakeholder group, we probably never would have completed it if we didn't at some point put an end date to it. I don't know if Mr. Urban wanted to add anything on to that, but I think that fairly well summarizes my understanding of how that one in particular was challenged.
Thank you. Mr. Urban?
Yeah, that was a good summary there by Jennifer. We worked hard. We reached out. We have a very, very extensive email distribution list for organizations, and twice we tried to reach different organizations, in particular related to equestrians. As well, we presented at the CRAG, which is the Chilliwack Recreation Area group meeting, about the project on 2 separate occasions. They had representatives either at the meeting or receiving the minutes. And unfortunately, I would have loved to receive their study and the report and incorporated it in. It was unfortunate. I had a really lengthy conversation last week with their representative, and we talked about, how did that happen? And there was agreement that there's some internal communications on their part that they need to tighten up. So we were both, disappointed that we couldn't roll in their data. It would have made our study that much more richer. But as expressed, we've now acknowledged their work in our study. There'll be a hyperlink in our report on the electronic version so people can refer to it to round it out further. And I think that's the best we can do at the moment.
Good, thank you. Any other comments from board members?
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to thank Mr. Urban for his extensive work on this. It certainly is a large project and a tremendous feat that they pulled it off to this level. And I think we're all in sincere admiration of making it happen, of how it was made happen, and I give you my thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments from board members? Don't see any, so I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any, the item carries. Thank you. Next item.
Next item is 11.3. We have developing a policy for classification of regional versus community parks and trails.
Thank you. Mover and a seconder on this. Moved by Director Facio, seconded by Director Mercer. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
Next item is 11.4. We have the update on provincial solid waste initiatives. There's a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Ross, seconded by Director Hamilton. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
Next item is 11.5. We have the nominal crown tenure for Common Island Shoreline Protection Project.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Stobart, seconded by Director Bales. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, item carries. Next item.
11.6. We have the Sandpiper Golf Course redevelopment proposal and neighborhood plan process at 14282 Morris Valley Road in Electoral Area C.
Thank you. This is for EAs. Mover and seconder. It's moved by Director Bales, seconded by Director Adamson. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
Next, we move down to item 12, which is our consent agenda, and we have items 12.1.1 through 12.1.4.
Thank you. Consent agenda for all is moved by Director Dickey, seconded by Director Adamson. Discussion. Seeing none, all in favor. Opposed, if any, those items carry. Next item.
Next is 14.1. We have the outdoor learning program in Thompson Regional Park. It is an information item, but staff are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions on this item? Seeing none. Next item.
Next is 14.2, also an information item, the Purple Lights Committee update. This is coming through the Recreation, Culture, and Air Park Commission.
Great. And if there are any comments or questions? Don't see any. Great initiative. Next item.
Next is 14.3. We have the Recreation, Culture, and Air Park Services Facility Update, October 2020. Again, an information item, but if there's any questions that the board has, staff can answer them.
Thank you. And any questions on this item? Don't see any. Next item.
15.1 is an information and correspondence item from Fraser Basin Council. It's the Fraser Valley Update, October 2020.
Thank you. Any questions on this item? Don't see any. Next item.
Item 17, reports by board directors.
Director Facio.
Go ahead, Director Facio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just like you already briefly mentioned it, but as on November the 14th, we'll begin the Festival of Lights in Harrison, and the enlarged synthetic ice skating rink is now in place. It's another week. It's open to the public, but bring your own skates. The concession doesn't open till the 14th for the rental of skates as well. But look forward to seeing many of my directors and your families coming down on November the 14th for the expanded Festival of Lights, and there's quite a surprise ahead from Tourism Harrison this year. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Go ahead, Director Clute.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to extend my thanks to, I believe, the 3 directors on the board who stepped forward in the recent provincial election. It's always something to see dedicated people who want to step forward and make our area and our province a better place to live, and I thank them for putting their names forward.
Thank you, Director Clute. And any other reports from board directors? Don't see any. I just will say quickly, and thank Director Ross for stepping in and fulfilling the board chair duties when I was away on my summer vacation for the last 3 weeks. So thank you very much, Director Ross. Next item.
Item 18 is public question period for items relevant to the agenda. We have nobody in person tonight, and as has been our practice, the members of the public were encouraged to send in email submissions by 1 p.m. on October 26th or participate via Zoom. We did not receive any questions from the public, and there is nobody on the Zoom call or in person at this time.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Kinnaman. And next item.
Looking for a resolution to close the meeting.
Thank you. Director Facio, seconded by Director Popov. Discussion, seeing none, all in favor, opposed if any, and we'll go into closed. Let's